Good morning, children. Today we are going to have a very special class. We are going to see a play based on a book titled "And Tango Makes Three." But first, you have to do a worksheet that I'm going to give you, and you have to predict what is the story about. Okay, so this is the worksheet, okay? And you can see here a picture. So looking at the picture, you have to answer these questions. For example, who do you think the main characters are? Second one, do you think they are male, a boy, or female, a girl? 3, what do you think the relationship between the character is? Maybe they are a family, they are friends, I don't know. 4, what do you think the story is about? So, in groups, you have to answer these questions, okay? So, let's start.
Now we are going to tell you a story. It's called "And Tango Makes Three." Pay attention and enjoy. In the middle of New York City, there is a great big park called Central Park. Every day, children, just like all of you, love to play there. Best of all, it has its very own zoo. Every day, families of all kinds go to visit the animals that live there. Have you ever visited the zoo? Well, that's great. Actually, parents and children aren't the only families at the zoo. The animals make families of their own. Look, there are panda bear families with the panda fathers and the panda moms raising panda bear cubs. There are monkey families with monkey moms and monkey dads raising monkey babies. There are frog and toucan families too.
And in the penguin house, there are many penguin families. Every year, at the very same time, the girl penguins start noticing the boy penguins, and the boy penguins start noticing the girls. When the right girl and the right boy find each other, they become a couple. 2 penguins in the penguin house were a little bit different.
Do you want to meet them? Yes? Come on, let's see where they are. Let's see. Oh, look. They're over here. Look, this is Roy. Hi, Roy. And this is Silo. Hi, Silo. Roy and Silo were both boys, but they did everything together.
They bowed to each other and walked together. They sang to each other and swam together.
Come on, do it with us. Every day, Roy and Silo bowed to each other. They walked together. They sang to each other. And they swam together.
Wherever Roy went, Silo went too.
Their keeper, Miss Ramsey, noticed the 2 penguins and thought to herself, they must be in love. Every night, Roy and Silo slept together. And one day, they saw that the other penguin families were building a house. So, they built a house and a nest of stones for themselves.
Every night, Roy and Silo slept together, just like all the other penguin couples. But one day, Roy and Silo saw that other couples could do something they could not.
The mama penguin, look, over here. Thank you.
The mama penguin would lay an egg. She and the papa penguin would take turns keeping the egg warm until finally,
crack! their own baby penguin would come out of the egg. But Roy and Silo had no egg to sit on and keep warm. They had no baby chick to feed, to cuddle and love. Their nest was nice, right? But it was a little bit empty. But one day, Roy started to look for something. He looked, until he found something that looked like what the other penguin couples were hatching. So he decided to bring it to the nest.
When Silo got sleepy, Roy sat on the rock. And when Roy got sleepy, Silo sat on the rock. But nothing happened. Miss Grumpy got an idea. I can give Roy and Silo an egg.
So, children, do you think I should give Roy and Silo the egg? Or shouldn't I give them the egg? Now we are going to divide the class into groups, okay? Some groups are going to be the should group, and another group will be the shouldn't group, because I need to make a decision and you are going to help me. So, the should groups will write suggestions using should. For example, Miss Gramercy should give Roy and Silo the egg because they can keep warm the egg. And the shouldn't group will write suggestions using shouldn't. For example, Miss Gramercy shouldn't give Roy and Silo the egg because they aren't the real parents. So let's write your suggestions and then we are going to read it aloud to help me to make a decision, okay? So, okay, perfect. Now that you have finished, I need to hear your suggestions. I need in one side the should groups and in the other side the shouldn't group. And I want to listen one should reason and one shouldn't reason. Okay, so let's start. Should. Okay, that's a good one. Shouldn't. Well, not bad. Should. Perfect. Oh, I like that. I like that. Shouldn't. Wow, this is a very difficult decision, but I think I'm going to decide to give Roy and Silo the egg.
Miss Ramsey looked for an egg, and she looked.
Where could it be? She looked for an egg, and then she found an egg that
Needed to be careful, and she brought it to Roy and Silo's nest. Roy and Silo knew just what to do. They moved the egg to the center of the nest.
every day they took turns keeping the egg warm. Until finally, one day, look! They heard a sound coming from inside the egg. And suddenly, what's that? A tiny hole appeared in the eggshell, and then crack! Out came their very own baby. Look! She had fuzzy blue feathers and a funny orange beak.
We'll call her Tango,
Thought Miss Ramsey.
because it takes two to make a tango.
Roy and Silo, alright! Roy and Silo were fathers. They taught Tango how to sing for them when she was hungry.
They fed her food from the beaks. They snuggle her in their nest at night.
Tango was the very first penguin in the zoo to have two daddies.
Okay guys, now we are going to do an activity called hot sitting. Okay, we are going to do this activity in the groups we have made. So, every person in the group, okay, are going to write questions to Tango. Those questions should be related to emotions and feelings. For example, Tango, do you feel different? Or do you feel happy? Or maybe you can ask, Tango, how do you feel about your family? Okay, so let's write your questions and then we are going to ask the questions to Tango. Perfect, children. So now that you have written your questions, you are ready to ask them to Tango.
And now, do you want to see how this story ends? Aren't you excited? Well, do you know what happens when time passes by? You grow up, right? Well, soon, Tango grew strong enough to leave the nest, and her fathers took her for a swim. And all the children in the Central Park
The zoo could see Tango and her two fathers playing in the penguin house with the other penguins. At night, the three penguins returned to their nest. And just like all the other penguins in the penguin house, and all the other animals in the zoo, and all the families in the big city around them, they went to sleep. Actually, all the events in this story are true.
If you visit the Central Park Zoo, you can see Tango and her two fathers playing with the other penguins in the zoo. There are 42 penguins in the penguin house in Central Park Zoo, but there is only one Tango.
Have you enjoyed the story? It was so beautiful, right? There were some moments that were really special for Silo and me. Oh, I have an idea. Would you help me recreate some of them? Let's do an activity. Okay, so we will create 4 groups. And we will give each group a piece of paper with a different moment of the story. Then you will have to get in position and stay frozen. You cannot move at all, okay? And we will ask you some questions. All right, let's do it. Maybe like this, you will understand why these moments are so special for us.
Did you enjoy the activity? We saw you had fun, didn't you? Well, the next activity is called mini text. Working in groups, just as you've been doing until now, you will receive these short texts in yellow, and you will have 5 minutes to discuss with your teammates who you think is speaking, where are they, what's the relationship, and what's the situation. Alright, but first, let's see an example. Imagine that Roy is talking to himself, thinking that he must look for something that looks like what the other couples are hatching. So who's speaking here? That's right, Roy is talking to himself. Then, where are they? Come on, you know this one. That's right, they are in the Central Park Zoo in New York. And for instance, what's the relationship between Roy and Tango? Right, Roy is Tango's father. Finally, imagine that we have an egg, but then crack! It suddenly hatches, and then Tango comes out. What's that? What's the situation? Yeah, the egg is hatching. Well done. Then again, you have 5 minutes to discuss who's speaking, where are they, what's the relationship, and what's the situation. Then you need to match the text in yellow with the dialogues in green. Please, once you're done, put your hands up so that we can see that you're finished, okay? In this case, your teacher will help us, alright? So now you can stop the video, do the activity, and we'll be back in a minute, alright? Remember that once you're finished, you have to interpret the dialogue by reading it aloud. See you!
Hey! Okay, now it's my turn. Guys, now it's the time to try and see how well you remember the story. Okay? So, for this, we're going to use a very interesting technique that is used to create, well, for creating stories. Okay? It's called the story mountain technique. Like, what? You're going to see, okay? We're going to start at the bottom of the mountain. We're going to go up and up and up and up and up and up until the peak. Then we go down and down and down and down till the story ends, okay? It's not too hard. You will understand. All right. So now we are starting at the base of the mountain, okay? So what do we need? What do we need in order to start a story? Yeah, okay. You need characters in the first place, right? Like you can't tell a story without characters. Perfect. You need to present the characters, all right? But what characters do we have? Is it all people? Is it objects? Is it animals? Yes, it's mostly animals. We have Tango, which comes later on. We have the zookeeper, Miss Gramsy, and we have our two main protagonists, Roy and Silo. Perfect. So those are the characters. And does the story take place somewhere specifically? Is there a place where everything happens? Yes, of course. But where? Okay, Central Park Zoo at New York. Perfect. Nice. This that we have said, the characters and the place are part of the introduction. Okay? We are the base. Now we're going to go up and up and up. Okay? We're still going up the slope. Here, we're presented with a new part of the story. We've presented the characters and the place. Now we're going to talk about what? What the characters do in their daily life. So what do Roy and Silo do? They're penguins. And what did we say that penguins do? They bow at each other and they sing together and they walk together and they swim together. Good. Things like those. But there is a special thing that happens between penguins. What is it? So when the right time comes, The right penguin finds the right penguin and they get together and they form a couple. Yes. So just like Roy and Silo, right? Because they were a couple. Or were they just friends? Friends or couple? A couple. Because they were in love. Exactly. Good. We're going up the slope. Now we're reaching the peak. We are on the top of the mountain. Okay? So now that we know all that, what happens? Oh no, there's a problem because Roy and Silo are both boys. They can't lay an egg. They can't have an egg because they're both boys. Oh no, that's a problem. So that's the top of the mountain, the peak, the problem that they have. All right. But now we're going to go down super fast and we're going to hop on to the resolution. So what is the resolution? We have a problem and problems have to be solved. Exactly. So we're going to solve the problem, but how? What happens? How is this problem solved? Do they get an egg in the end? Do Roy and Silo get an egg in the end? Yeah. Who gives them the egg? Because it's not going to fall from the sky. Like, hey, an egg. No. Miss Gramsey, the zookeeper, decides to give them the egg, like you said, like you decided earlier with shouldn't. Okay, perfect. So Miss Ramsey gives them the egg and they live happily ever after. Yes? Or does something else happen? That's the resolution of the story, but we need an ending. We need to finish the story. So what happens? They're super happy, super happily dandly, and they take care of the egg until it cracks, right? And pew, 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 pew. Something comes out. It's Tango, it's the new penguin, and they name it. It's Tango because Tango takes 2 or 3 or whatever. Okay, so Tango comes out, it grows up, they do things together, and now they go to sleep as long as the same as every other animal in the zoo. And now we can say that the story is finished. Good job, guys! Nicely done. You're so intelligent, so capable. Perfect. Good job. Now we hop on to the next activity.
Phew, I'm so tired of doing activities all day. Do you want to have some fun? Let's play a game. It's called Snakes and Ladders. It's really easy to play. On your turn, you will have to throw dice, and then you will have to move as many squares as the number you've got. Then you will have to check the color of the square you fell into. And one of your classmates will draw a card of the same color for you. Each type of card has a different question. And you will have to answer correctly. Okay? So, he will read the question or the challenge in the card, and he will have the answer on the card. So, if you answer correctly, you can continue playing. But if you don't answer correctly, then a classmate of yours will have the chance to answer to the card correctly. In that case, he will move one step forward. Really easy. Also, if you fall into a square that has a ladder or a snake, then you will have to move forward on the board if it's a ladder, or backwards if it's a snake. Well, let's see some examples. If you draw a blue card, then you will have to continue the story. Alright, so let's check this one card. It says, once upon a time, and we would have to complete the story. So we could say something like, once upon a time, there was a princess trapped in a huge castle. Then we would have continued the story. This is the easiest card of them all. If you draw a pink card, then you will have to transform it to the past. Then we have a card that says he changes his job. Then, to answer correctly to that card, we should transform it to the past. He changed his job. And then we would have answered correctly. If you get a yellow card, then you will have to identify which is the moment of the story. Then Mr. Grametsi thought to herself, I can give Roy and Silo an egg. This is very easy. It's the resolution of the story. So we should answer, it's the resolution. If we get an orange card, then we will have to put the sentences in order and complete them with first, then, and finally. In this situation, the correct order of the sentences should be: first, I studied for the math exam. Then, I took the exam. And finally, I passed the exam. And finally, if you get a white card, then you just have to answer to the question in the card. For example, let's say that the question is, where's Little Red Riding Hood going? Then the answer would be Grandma's house. So we see. Let's play.